achieved 5,000 megawatt distribution capacity, even though we were producing 7. We needed to bridge that gap of 2,000 and do an expanded distribution network intervention. And also to stabilize MBET and secure it financially. MBET is the bulk trader for the power sector, and it buys power from generation companies, puts it on the grid, and vests it in distribution companies to go and sell it. So it must remain liquid to deal with that. So these are some of the objectives that were set out in the 2018 budget speech of Mr. President. And in our defenses before the House and Senate Committees of Power, Works and Housing, we have highlighted the details of all of the support that we need. One of the things we need to do, for example, I think the Deputy Senate Chairman on appropriation asked me to provide the data of how much was owed to contractors. I think when he toured with me in Kano, I think as at the 9th of March, the figure I recall is about 109 billion owed to 138 contractors. Now, I think one of the areas, and perhaps in specific response to the point raised by the Chairman House Committee on Appropriation about small contractors and small projects and all of that, yesterday I think we reported through the House Senate Committee on Housing about 701 contracts letters have been issued based on the funding that we have now received, because we couldn't issue letters without the appropriate funding. So those letters are going out, if they have not all gone out. But the point to make about them first, they relate to SDG programs, they relate to direct interventions, special projects, and those things that you alluded to in your opening remarks. And I think that as those contractors move out, there will be impact in those subnational spaces. But let me quickly conclude there so that I'll go back to the larger point. I think the point to also make is to have another look at the procurement law. And I think there's no bigger platform to make this appeal than here. I think the procurement law as currently constituted makes it difficult for small businesses to contract with government. The requirements are for qualification. Many of the small businesses, all those enterprises and sons and co, will not meet them. But perhaps the point to make, my recommendation on a general basis, is not to make those requirements points of disqualification, because you're automatically disqualified. We can make them points of compliance as the procurement goes on. But if you meet the financial requirement and technical ability, those shouldn't disqualify a small business, but you are then compelled, maybe before you get your final payment, you go and make those registrations. And if we want to really include them in the process. As for the road sector, let me just quickly overview that he placed an order for 600 tires for all of his equipment. Immediately he received his own share of the sukuk. So there is an economy beneath the road itself that affects the people that we all try to serve. I just thought it was important to make that point. And you will see the correlation between the president's strategy of an expanded infrastructure budget in what is happening in mining. Because the Bureau of Statistics figures will show that after about 9 consecutive negative results in the mining sector, there is now a sustained second and third quarter activity. And if you go down to the granular details of that report, you will see that it is mining of gravel, limestone, laterite, and all of the things that are used in construction. So the recovery of the economy itself was not accidental. It was driven partly by this infrastructure spending and other sectors. So what we need to do going into 2018 is to sustain that momentum. In the power sector, as I said, we want to complete some of those projects, the Kaduna Power Station and the Kudenda Substation, the Gurara Power Station, the Kashimbila Power Station, the Katsina Wind Farm, the Zungeru Hydro Plant, and also, importantly, to start the Mambila Hydropower project. All of the contractual requirements for that have been completed. What remains now is to negotiate the terms of the support loan from China Exim Bank. In this, we'll be seeking your support for the counterpart funding part in the 2018 budget. There is, I might mention, a project, and I think this is the place to take the point. It comes to me, the Akwanga Kefi Lafia Road. There is a deficit, I think, about 5 billion naira in the counterpart funding provision in the 2018 budget. I think there's about 2-point-something billion there, and what we need is about 7. The partners have indicated that we tell them how we propose to meet that difference. We have told them that we will bring them up to you, and that if we couldn't accommodate in 2018, we will make up the difference in 2019. But I think it will give comfort to them if something can be done with respect to that. In terms of housing, let me just quickly say that what we sought to do in the housing sector was to prove a concept of affordability and acceptability. And happily, the chairman appropriation now used to be my chairman in housing. So, and we are constructing housing units now in 33 states of Nigeria. And there are different levels. And we are constructing bungalows and condominiums of 16 flats based on the part of the country, the results of the cultural and land use types that we received. We started in January, and most of the houses are nearing completion. So what we are dealing with now is the infrastructure, the road, the electrical and mechanical, water supply, and so on and so forth. And we're using basically small contractors. But that is under the National Housing Program. There are site and service schemes also that is being implemented. We are going back to some of the land that government had acquired in some states where site and service interventions are being made. We are also expanding the capacity of the Federal Mortgage Bank to issue more mortgage loans and for people to buy houses, especially contributors to the National Housing Fund. And they're also issuing estate development loans. So there are various projects by the consideration with respect to the provision we have made for our federal controllers, highway controllers. We haven't made sufficient budget provision for controllers. We have proposed this in the 2018 budget. Our committees have expressed pleasant disposition to them, and I think the case should be made here that those are ambassadors really at the state, and they are quicker and able to deal with problems relating to maintenance of roads at the state level. What currently happens is that they have to send memos to headquarters, we have to get approval, and then go back there. We think that we have to decentralize this, but we need to give them a budget to enable them do this work. Because as I say to them, if they have to be controllers, they must actually have control. And there is some sense in giving them financial control. The other point I want to make is that we haven't covered all of the roads, and even if we do, there will be emergencies. We're going into the rainy season. Some of our aging infrastructure will reveal their underbelly when floods start. We must be able to respond to people when emergencies happen. So we need a contingency provision in the budget. We see it all over the world. Bridges will fail and so on and so forth. We need to be able to do this very quickly, mobilize contractors, and show a budgetary provision that we can act to respond when people are in distress. I think the only other matter is our international routes, our roads leading us in connectivity from Enugu through Cameroon and from Kishi, Kayama through to Republic of Benin, and from Lagos through Seme on the Lagos-Abuja corridor. So those are things I think that we should also pay attention to in order to improve the opportunities for people, because small businesses also do all of these cross-border trades. Mr. Chairman, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, members of the audience, I think that is a convenient place to stop. If you wish me to address any other questions, I will come to them.
Thank you very much, Minister.
Minister Babatunde Fashola has summarized what the ministry is doing to provide adequate housing for the people, as well as to make electricity generation available for Nigerians. He has also called on National Assembly to pay adequate attention to the special budget for emergencies on our roads.
But before we go into that, I would like to also announce that, as you heard, the Minister of Power has mentioned that smaller project of over 700 contractors have been awarded, and some are to be awarded, and other ministries. You can see that this is 2017 capital implementation. So which means that if you award a letter today or last month, if it is construction in nature, then which means that project will not be completed. It has to be rolled over in 2018. So which means that we need more time to continue implementing 2017 capital appropriation. So in that regard, we have invoked the Section 11 of the Appropriation Act, which stipulated the lifespan of a financial year as 12 calendar months for 2017 budget implementation. We were told that the Office of the Accountant General is expected to close the accounts as at March ending, but we have written a letter yesterday drawing his attention to the fact that the budget should be extended up to May 31st. But if the passage of the budget, as expected to happen on the 24th of this of April, if it is done and the President assented to it, whichever comes earlier, then the Accountant General should also strictly adhere to the content of that letter. So contractors should continue working. Give the distinguished senators and honorable members this a public hearing, yes, and they also have some observations to make. But our main target are the general public, yes, and the stakeholders, especially the CSOs. Yes. So we are coming back to you, and we allow the distinguished senators and honorable members to make some observations, comments, and ask questions, but not budget defense. I will start with, incidentally, he's from Kano State. I've not been selected, but he has been raising his hand. I'll start with Senator Barrow Jibril. to ask his questions.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you very much. No, sit down.
First of all, I want to commend the Minister of Works and Housing and Power for what he's doing in his ministry. I think it's so far so good. We are proud of what you are doing. We are proud of you. And you are doing a very, very beautiful job. Having said so, let me say that I've seen in the presentation made by the Minister of Minister of National Planning, Minister of State, where she said that there's the intention of the government to make sure that the installed capacity of power generation in this country, which is 7,000 megawatts, is achieved. This is very good. But the fact remains that the industry players, the players in the industry, have been lamenting that their problem is that what they are able to generate now, what is being generated now, is not even being distributed. That is a problem in the distribution of what is being generated. And that has not been addressed here. So I think the minister should look at this problem so that what is being generated, we need power, we need electricity, and it's being generated. The small that's being generated is not being distributed. So that should be addressed. I think, and I'm sure the minister, being a performing minister, will look at this problem. Having said so again, let me say that there's disparity in terms of cost of a unit of electricity in different parts of the country. Like in Kano, for instance, is far higher. A company has to even close down its production, and there's a loss of about 250 employees. About 250 employees lost their job because that company closed its manufacturing line and moved down to Lagos because it's cheaper in Lagos. So I think this is a major issue. It's a major problem that the minister has to look into it and make sure that this disparity doesn't exist, because it's not good for the country, where factories are being closed because of a higher, cost of electricity, and moved down to a place that is cheaper. I think it's not good. So I am sure the minister will look at this problem and get this problem addressed as soon as possible. That's number one. Number two, I have a question also for the Minister of National Planning. You said in the end of third quarter, what was spent was, what was released in terms of our capital budget was 450 billion naira. And it is quite worrisome, because when I look at our revenue projection, we've been able to realize to a large extent, about 90% when you put everything together. But yet, the level of budget implementation, the capital side of it, is still very, very low, not commensurate with what we have realized in terms of our revenue. Yes, there are certain areas that we are not being able to realize as much as we should. But when you put together, when you aggregate everything together, you find out. Let me even come down to 80%. But the level of capital budget implementation is not up to that amount. So why the disparity? Why this gap? And we have borrowing plans, and the borrowing plans have been going on successfully. So yet we have this gap. And the last but not the least is that I want to know what is the level, or how much have we spent so far in terms of capital budget implementation. I want to have the figure. Thank you, the two honorable ministers, that my questions are targeted at. Thank you.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Barau I. Jibril. And I don't want the people to say that I'm selfish, and I'm going to Jigawa State to ask Abdullahi to also ask his questions. It's still northwest. I don't want to be going northwest. I have to go to the south.
Seriously, to start looking on going off. To start building not bungalows, because we are not expanding the land. The land is for agriculture, for growing our food. We are eating it up to build bungalows. So instead, since our power has improved, I think we have to start going up to build our housing need. If we continue at the rate of us building this scheme, this housing scheme, I'm afraid we are going to eat up the land that is supposed to grow our food. So that's our comment. And the other one is for the Minister of Health. I think that we want to see a situation whereby along our borders, we should be building veterinary clinics where the animals coming into our countries can be immunized. One, we use that opportunity to take the census of the animals that are coming in and the herders, so that we are not stopping them, but we can use that device to monitor them. From the foreign herders. And the other one is that we have common diseases of breast and cervical cancers, HIV and AIDS, prostate, diabetes, and high blood pressure. These are common diseases to Nigerians. So if we can address them early, to have all this, because if we can use the primary health centers scattered around the country to have this equipment in place to detect this early enough, so that the medical bills can be drastically reduced. And the other one is to allay the fears of the Minister of Interior. The National Boundary Commission is under my watch in the committee in the Senate, and we have made adequate provision for this year to redemarcate our borders. The budgetary provision is heavy, but to demarcate all.
Thank you very much. Let me give Deputy Chairman House Committee on Appropriations to also ask questions and or make comments. Thank you.
Thank you, my chairman, the distinguished senators, my respected colleagues, Your Excellencies, the honorable ministers, and head of agencies, and our guests. Welcome. I want to do a quick intervention. I want to call to the knowledge of our Honorable Minister of State for Planning, together with Minister of Interior and Health, on the major challenges we're having with planning for our population. First and foremost, the Honorable Minister of Interior highlighted the dangers we are facing with our security. Honorable Minister, I want to put it to you, as the Minister of Interior, we want to see how we can identify every Nigerian. Every. Because as a father, we need to know how many we are. It will help us for proper planning. That's where the national planning will come in. When we plan for security, if you identify every citizen using technology, it will be easier to monitor our security. And it will help us for proper planning. I'll give you, for instance, if you want to monitor borders, when you don't determine who are Nigerians coming in and who are those going out, it becomes a major difficulty for you to properly police the economy. So we are asking, even in pre-colonial days, every citizen was registered at the council level. So you are Minister in charge of Interior, along with your supporting agency, Population Commission. Can we identify every citizen, register deaths and births? Because that will help us as a major tool for national planning. It is primary tool for national planning. It will help us to plan our social services, whether it is in health or in education. And where I mentioned about Minister of Health, can we help us, especially with our population policy? Because it will help us, because these are the things that are primary duty of government. If we have it as a basic infrastructure, know who are Nigerians, using modern technology to identify every Nigerian, make proper plans for our youths, provide for schools, health infrastructures. These are the basic tools for governance. It will enhance security, both food, education, and physical security. These are major interventions I want to look at as we are talking as a nation. Thank you.
Okay. I wanted to say maybe I use my campaign voice, but it has come back. Thank you very much, Deputy Chairman. And I think what he's trying to say is our National Population Commission should also be given adequate provision so that they can do national census, they can do the head count. I think now for over 10 years, the National Population Commission has, the last count was in 2016. 2006. So which means that we have 12 years. We cannot continue to be shifting because it will affect the Ministry of National Planning, because without the proper having the exact population of this country, we will not be able to plan well. What we are doing, we are estimating. Well, I don't know what the Ministry of National Planning is doing. What percentage are they applying in terms of population growth, and what percentage they apply in terms of dates and other parameters. So I think Ministry of Budget and National Planning, you need to provide enough money, adequate money to the National Planning Commission so that they can swing into action and we get the exact population in this country so that we can also plan very well. Incidentally, this year and next year are going to be election year, so I think I don't know whether it can be done. Yeah, so after the election, I think we need to be more serious about this issue, so that even the Minister of Power, Works and Housing should also allocate his national housing program, where it is possible. Thank you very much. Gapar Amere Akintayo, you want to ask a question? Okay, Honorable Jide, no, I will give 2 members, 2 senators, and I will do federal character. I'll make sure that I go to the southeast, southwest.
My name is Olajide Olatubosun. I'm from Oyo State. I represent Atisbo, Shaki East, and Shaki West Federal Constituency a member of the appropriation committee. Now, after about the 6 months, power supply went from bad to worse, and it has remained like that till today. I know you have done a lot of work. At times when I listen to you on TV, I'm encouraged because you have a very good understanding of the issues. But to the layman on the street, they don't understand the grammar or Turanchi that we speak. What is important is they are not getting regular power supply. Now, I know you have an issue of generation to transmission to distribution. Now, in the short to medium term, what can we do, especially before we go for the next election, so that Nigerians can see that there is an improvement in power supply? What can we do? Is it only about funding, or there are other issues? Number two, you are talking about roads, federal roads, and conspicuously, the road that leads to where I come from, that is Oyo, Iseyin, Shaki, Agua, Modu to Kishi Road. That road leads to the border. That's northern part of Oyo State, food basket of Oyo State, and by extension, Nigeria. The road was constructed last during the time of Chief Obafemi Awolowo. And that road is still there today. I went home last weekend, and it took me 5 hours to get to Shaki from Ibadan. Very bad experience. So please, I would also like you to look at that. Then lastly, Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. If you read in the press of recent, there has been a lot of accidents on that road. And we've seen instances where a section of the road is kind of barricaded, and drivers will have to be doing what is called face me, I face you. And because of reckless overtaking, we've seen a lot of accidents. Please, what can we do to fast track the construction of that road? You said that contractors moved to site in March. Today's March 26th. I'm not sure that has happened yet. Lagos is important to all of us because it's the commercial center, and we at least have to do one or two things in Lagos. Now, let me go to the Honorable Minister for National Planning State. On page 10 of your presentation, page 10. On page 10 of the document, under the key reform initiatives to improve revenues, you mentioned deployment of new technology to an agency of government, and within 6 months, the revenue they remitted was more than what other people have remitted in 10 or 11 years. So we have major leakages. And for the MDAs, I'm sure that if we can block the leakages, if we can ensure that we deploy technology, we can increase the surplus that they are remitting to the Federation account by 200 to 300%. Is a major area that we can increase our revenue collection. Then this deployment of technology, we need to know what is the time frame. It should not be open-ended. Is it going to be 2 years, 3 years? Funding requirement and the milestones. Please, we need to get that from you. Then also, issue of performance management framework for state-owned enterprises. A major issue. My advice, let's change the business model. The NLNG model is working. Public-private partnership. Government should divest major holding in these enterprises because, sorry to say, if you allow civil servants, with due respect, to be running these SOEs, we are not going to get anywhere. At least for now. Until maybe we have a new generation of Nigerians. Let's have an agencies that are private sector driven. Maybe a 60-40% holding is going to help us. It's because government has part ownership. If it is fully owned by government, nobody's going to pay any dividend. Let us look at that. And lastly, to the minister, on page 16, you gave us some 10 projects which are top priority. They are critical. I was expecting that we are going to have a column for amount released for 2017. You only gave us the amount appropriated for 2017 and what you need for 2018, 19, and 20. It's like your medium-term strategy. I think you should tell us how much you have gotten so far, to what extent have you implemented those projects, so that we know the areas to help you. I think, Chairman, okay, I'm done for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Jide. I think the last question that we asked the Minister of Interior, I think that one should be, I hope you are in the Committee of Interior, so that, because that one is more or less like a budget defense, where you have the appropriated amount, the amount released, and the level of implementation. That one is supposed to be done at the appropriation, at the committee level. So, Senator Dambaba, you have the floor, then Mao. Thank you.
At last, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Ibrahim Abdullahi Dambaba, and I represent Sokoto South Senatorial District. Unfortunately, all my questions actually are directed towards the Honorable Minister of State, Budget and National Planning. And because she is not on seat. So do I direct